Hey y'all, today's video I am giving you a quick flip through of the National Parks Unit Study from Gather Round Homeschool, so stick around. So I have a little bit of a confession to make. I actually purchased this unit study for us to complete last year. Remember when we were doing the 50 states unit study that I created? Okay, we were doing that, and then my idea was to pair that unit study with the national parks. So they go together, right? It makes sense. Well, a lot of life happened, like really big life. And this we've never actually got around to, so I've decided to pull it in for this year. We're actually going to be ending our year with national parks, and we are very much looking forward to that. In today's video, I'm giving you a flip through so you guys can check it out. I will go through the teacher's guide, and I will go through the early reader student notebook, as well as briefly show you inside the early reader copywork. Now, I wanted to let you guys know that I bought this last year because I have the early reader version. For my daughter this year, I would have purchased an early elementary level for her. She definitely needed to be bumped up, but it's actually really not been a bad experience for her to be working in the early reader, because she can do this a little bit more independently. You guys know I am big on independent work. And so she's really been able to do that with this one, specifically because I also purchased the MP3 reading of the teacher's guide for this unit study. So she's able to listen to the teacher's guide and kind of look through the physical book while listening to the MP3. And then when that's over, she can go into her student notebook and work on those things together. Again, because it is just a little bit of a lower level for her, but it works beautifully in that way. So something maybe to consider with unit studies. I've never actually considered unit studies being something to use in an independent study, independent curriculum fashion. But I'm seeing that it's very possible that you could. And so, yeah, that is currently how we are using it. But moving forward, we will likely go into the early elementary because I really miss Gather Round. So enough talking, let's get into the flip through. All right, so first up is the teacher's guide. Of course, you have copyright things, note to the teacher as always, a little bit of information about Gather Round. Here's your note to let you know that they have the MP3 for this one. They also have some add-ons that you can do for this one, which is the writing track, and there are character cards. They also did a novel study for My Side of the Mountain, and that novel study pairs very well with this unit study. Here is your recitation that's happening each week inside of your different levels. Skipped the table of contents. Okay, so as always, you have your 20 lessons. Your Meet the Parks lesson is pretty long. It is a pretty hefty lesson, so something to keep in mind. But everything after that is just kind of your standard, what you're used to. The Meet the National Parks lesson 1 gives you a general introduction to each one of these. That's why it is a little bit of a larger lesson. So that's where we go here. Lesson 1, Meet the National Parks. This does have the color-coded options, which is explained in the front of the teacher's guide, but there are just different colors for the different levels of your students. And then here is where we start going into those Meet the National Parks. So lots of those. And then it always ends with a family devotional. Here is where we move into lesson 2 with Denali National Park. This is what the rest of your lessons will look like. You explore the park. Fun little pictures there. Does talk about the park flora and fauna. And then of course ending with the family devotional. and that is the end of the teacher's guide. Okay, next up is the student notebook. Again, this is the early reader. I do spiral bind at the top, so you guys just gonna have to bear with me here. Also, we have already started this unit study, so you will see some of the pages have already been completed, but I am just going to turn this a little bit, so hopefully we can get a little bit more of the top page in there for you to be able to see. And again, you're just gonna have to bear with me. The spiral binding at the top really helps with some of your early writers so that binding isn't getting in the way for them. It just doesn't work phenomenally for flip throughs, so you have to work with me. So you just have your introductory page here. Here is your student table of contents that also breaks it down for your subject focus in each one of those lessons. That continues on to the back. Here is a recitation breakdown for each week. A cool coloring page. These pages are your Seatwork pages. So if you choose not to make the additional purchase of the Seatwork journal, you could just use these Seatwork pages and make those work for you. This is done each day for an entire week. So there is one Seatwork page, front and back, for each week. Those could be used a variety of ways. So again, you have one for each week. Okay, so 5 weeks. And then we go into your very first notebooking page for lesson 1. You are going to have some fill in the blanks, some copy and paste, those types of things for this particular level. Okay. Here is a social studies where you're looking at different jobs that could be used in a national park. Here is a little bit of photography. Here you are learning about building different types of shelters. And then here is where you are working on your writing project. Now, this shelter page here is a really good example of how the student notebook references the My Side of the Mountain unit study. It just says up here at the top that if you are reading the My Side of the Mountain, then you may remember that Sam lived inside of a tree. So it's just those small little references like that. Again, it has nothing to do with whether or not you are able to complete this page, just that small little reference for you. And then we move on to the notebooking page for lesson 2. So I'm just going to keep going here, give you guys a good look inside. And quickly, I will show you inside of the Seatwork journal. Again, for early reader, there is an option for manuscript or cursive. So you do have some options there. Okay, this just kind of breaks down all of the sections of the Seatwork journal. There is your table of contents. And then this is very simply your breakdown. Okay, so you have some copy work, you have some spelling, and then we work on a little bit of vocabulary and a little bit of grammar. Same thing here, copy work, it's a little bit different this time. The spelling is a little bit different. My daughter actually chose to write these in instead of cutting and pasting. Totally fine. Same thing, vocabulary there at the top, and then grammar here at the bottom. And then we went to cutting and pasting here. So it just follows that very similarly all the way through, just changing up your copy work, changing up your spelling words, vocabulary words, etc. And there you have it. That is a look inside the National Parks unit from Gather Round. I have really, really enjoyed this unit so far. Of course, we will have a review out for you guys as soon as we complete the unit, so make sure you're subscribed. That way you can check that out when it releases. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.